What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, CEO, MTS Nutrition, Chief Marketing Officer, TigerFitness.com, creator of the Outright Bar, and partner in Ambrosia. We just got some huge news today. Heath, 7-time Mr. Olympia champion, will be competing in the Mr. Olympia this year. That's huge news. So we have reigning Mr. Olympia Brandon Curry, Flex Lewis. Of course, you got all the other guys in there. I'm gonna just keep it simple, and I'm gonna go over what I think this does to the Olympia. Number one, it makes it much more exciting. Between Boniak and whoever else is in the mix, with Shawn, Rhoden still out of the mix for whatever the legal implications are to the accusations, that pretty much left, in my opinion, I did a video earlier this year, my good friend, for the record, good family friends of ours, Brandon Curry and Flex Lewis, I had number 1 and 2. Where I had Brandon beating Flex. With Phil, not only are you bringing in a man who is 7-time Mr. Olympia, but you're bringing him at a time when, remember, when Phil was competing, people wanted him to lose. Not everybody, but when Phil lost to Shawn Rhoden, it was like a joyous occasion in the industry. Because Phil, and I love Phil, Phil's a friend, Phil tends to come off as kind of cocky, kind of arrogant. His physique had fallen a little bit, but we always romanticize about how good things were. Like when Brandon won the Olympia, and rightfully so, you know, Dorian said, well, he wanted to place top 6 when Dorian was winning the Olympia. When I look at pictures, and when you put Dorian and Brandon side by side, Brandon blows Dorian out of the water. I'd hate to say it. Brandon has better legs, better symmetry, better fullness. And if you take away the fact Dorian had extremely thin skin, dude, Brandon beats, or at least comes very close to Dorian in his storybook conditioning. Dorian, while grainy, never had striated glutes. Last I checked, in their side profile, Brandon's glutes had deep striations and cuts in them. Dorian just had grainy glutes, but they weren't completely striated. I'm not taking anything away from Dorian. Dorian's the reason I really started loving bodybuilding. That picture of his hamstrings, just veiny and just nasty. But just being 100% real, I don't think Dorian would place top 5 in today's current Mr. Olympia lineup. What we do is we look at the good old days, right? Like, man, remember when I was a kid? Or I'll be talking to my wife, like, remember when we were kids? Yeah, we weren't able to go on our phone and access Google. When I have a question, I go, hey Siri, what's the capital of Zaire? Oh, the capital is, Katie, what's the capital of Zaire? I have no idea either. But the bottom line is, we always romanticize about the good old days. Oh, remember, the one thing I will say, the home runs were awesome. When McGuire and Sosa were juiced to the gills. Now that was the good old days. Baseball, I can't even watch that anymore. But anyway, I digress. I think we're in the renaissance of bodybuilding. These guys are bigger. They're fuller. Everybody has shredded glutes on stage. Everybody has shredded glutes. In 1986, I believe, was the year Rich Gaspari displayed the first set of striated glutes we've ever seen. And then we had a time when nobody really had, even like you look at your Lavronis, your Flex Wheelers, your Dorian Yates, they didn't have striated glutes. Now everybody comes in with striated glutes, with shredded, nasty glutes. When I first started competing in the 2000s, not everybody had glutes. Now on that Olympia stage, everybody in the top 10 has some, well, not everybody, most, have some outline of glutes. Bodybuilding's come a long way. You no longer have your mass monsters. I believe if we were competing back then, Big Ramy would be in the top 3. Marcus Rule, can you imagine him with that amazingly huge yet ugly physique, beating Big Ramy? Marcus Rule was huge, but his physique was absolutely horrible. So bodybuilding's at its all-time best. So what does Heath bring to the Olympia? He brings nostalgia. Heath, 7-time unbeatable Mr. Olympia, who you guys tend to forget. You were yelling at him that he sucked and Kai Green should have won. Number one, is always looked at by a lot of people. Ronnie versus Jay, Dorian versus whomever he was competing, Flex. Whoever it is, number one is always going to be someone people want to see beaten, which is alarming in this case because I believe that Brandon should be universally liked by everyone. Here's a man with no controversy. Here's a man who half his Instagram page is his family. Here's a man who believes in the good Lord. Here's a man who's everything we need with bodybuilding. Humble. Someone who believes in the good of people. Someone who gives his time. Look, I've seen personally, this is a guy who will take 5 hours out of any day, a busy day, to help somebody or to improve somebody's life, improve somebody's outlook on life, to make somebody feel better about themselves. He's everything we need in bodybuilding, yet you're still seeing this. He has no shot at Phil, no shot at Phil. The last Phil I saw lost to Shawn Rhoden. And in my opinion, Brandon last year would have beat Shawn Rhoden the year before. And that's an unbiased opinion. I think Brandon was fuller, and I think Brandon brought a better package. And Shawn is an amazing bodybuilder, but I put them, it's close. And it can go either way. I'm not throwing a chair either way, but I would have Brandon at his best beating Shawn at his best. As for Phil at his best, did we ever really see Phil's best? And also the Phil we saw in 2017 that lost to Shawn Rhoden. His stomach was all screwed up. He had great conditioning from the back, horrible conditioning from the front. Do you think that Phil really beats Brandon last year? Who I think could have come in 2 to 3% better. I think could have been sharper and harder. It was still enough to win the Olympia. So who do I pick winning this show? First, I'd like to say I will be at this Mr. Olympia with a tremendously huge announcement. An announcement that's going to completely shake up the industry. Or at least 5 people who care about stuff. At least 5 people are going to be really excited about this launch, okay? So huge details on that coming. Again, expect that launch to come in December, that announcement. Okay, but who do I think is going to win? I don't even think Phil's top 3. Based on the 2017 Phil. And that's all we have to look at. So we're assuming Phil figured out why his stomach was doing what it was doing. He had 2 years, he could have. I think Brandon's biggest obstacle to overcome is Flex Lewis. I think Flex Lewis poses the biggest threat to Brandon Curry's repeat of Mr. Olympia. I honestly do. So what do I see happening? I think Phil is going to place 3rd. I think Flex Lewis and Brandon will be fighting for the top 2 spot. I think Phil is going to, like he did in 2017, I don't think, again, like if it was Phil in 2015, 2014, I'd be singing a different story. I'd be singing a different song, man. Right now I'm singing some Marvin Gaye. I'd be singing some Barry White. Okay, Phil in 2017 doesn't beat Brandon in 2019. Flex Lewis with no weight restriction, man, that's a compelling story. So what do I see happening? Based on what I've seen, and again, I'm just being honest. There's bias involved, whether I like it or not. I see Brandon winning. I see Flex coming in 2nd, and I see Phil coming in 3rd. Phil, if he can get his mind right, this is a big if Phil can get his mind right and actually have a perfect prep, Phil can win. But we're also assuming that Phil fixed whatever was going on with his midsection. He says it was a hernia. Look, guys, I've said this on video before. I had not only had a hernia, I had multiple hernias, and I had diastases. I, right now, have 40 titanium screws and mesh holding my abdominals together. And my abs never did what his did. That hernia, unless a different kind of hernia, it doesn't cause it's a lump. His abs were lopsided. I don't know how you fix that. So and the recovery from what I had, the diastasis fix, is hard. So unless he got full mesh, like I got, I don't know if that could be corrected. Like, it was weird. If you look at the pictures, I don't know what, but if he fixes his midsection, and like it or not, midsection has been an issue. Brandon comes in with that small waist. Flex Lewis comes in with that small waist. If Phil comes in with the waist he came in with in 2017, where Shawn rightfully beat him. But again, if Phil actually gets his prep together, he fixes whatever it is, it's a different story. So Phil coming back, what do you guys think? Where do you see the top three? I'm not even looking beyond those three, to be honest with you. There's other guys in it. They're phenomenal athletes. But I think it's a three-man show. I think it's Flex, Brandon, Phil. And right now, I don't see Brandon being unseated. But again, it's that one day. Does someone mess up their carb load? Does someone come in flat? Does someone tear a hamstring? There's so many variables at play. Bro, it's only August. It just turned August. A lot of variables involved. What do you think? Comment down below. Be sure to like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Facebook at Marc Lobliner, Instagram at Marc Lobliner, Twitter at Marc Lobliner. Thank you so much for watching. That's not a game.